Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. You caught me off guard there. So we have a situation developing in the world that is, we are literally on a knife edge right now. We have a situation developing in Europe that I believe will be an activation call for sleeper cells. Also, ladies and gentlemen, as a backdrop, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but like there, yeah, I've got a hole in the roof, so I've had to put a bucket there to stop the water dripping. So that's giving me a little bit of anxiety. But don't worry about it, ladies and gentlemen, because I am going to let everybody understand what's happening. So if you guys have been following the news right now, we have a situation developing, and this kind of dovetails into what we've been talking about over the last couple of days, where this Abramovich, is it Abramovich or Abramovich? The British government have said, right, Abramovich needs to hand over this 2.5 billion pounds or whatever it is because reasons. Leading on to what we are looking at right now, which is the European Union are having a meeting in Brussels about releasing I'll come on to the exact figures in a minute, but it's 210 billion euros. That is a phenomenal amount of money. I mean, honestly, guys, if somebody was to give me 210 billion euros, it would take me like the best part of a whole year to spend that money. Honestly, guys, that is a lot of money. So let me turn the chat on. Lots of people commenting this evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So that is what we're going to be focusing on at the moment, guys. Okay, so let me just let you guys know where I am right now, because I got a little bit of pushback from you guys the other day, which is fine. I am 100% like against all wars. They're all ridiculous, and I'm saying that all wars are ridiculous as someone who's been to all wars since 2000. The only war I've not been to is the Israel Hamas war. So what I'm saying to you guys is, right now, as someone with a lot of experience, all wars are pointless. People get dead, people get rich, and it's pretty shit. And after 10 years, everything's back to normal anyway. So all wars are pointless. I will also be somebody who is one of those people who, I'm not, I've got friends in Ukraine, friends who I class as family. Ukraine as a country has been very good to me. I've spent a lot of my time as a diplomatic advisor in Ukraine, working at the highest echelons of government over there. So I do understand what I'm talking about when we talk about geopolitics, Russian culture, Ukrainian culture, Slavic culture. I understand all these aspects. What I also am is a British citizen, and I will always put Britain first. And I think Britain should be looking after Britons. Call me what you want, guys, but I think the government of Britain's first priority. It sounds crazy to say this. When you say something and it sounds so absurd. What I was going to say is, and I will say it, so what I am saying, I guess, is when you say the British government should look after the British people first, kind of feels like you're being racist, right? It's like, oh, God, I can't believe I said that. Oh, God, how dare I? How dare I think that the government of Britain should look after British people? Like, how dare I? Oh, God, I am controversial. But I do. I think that the British government should look after Britain first. And then when Britain is dealt with, or at least like 80+% dealt with, then you can look at foreign wars. Because those two things come hand in hand. You can't fight a foreign war if you're at war yourself. So we are going to be talking about that, ladies and gentlemen, as well. We're going to be talking about World War III, World War IV, the implications, the geopolitical ties between, I'm bringing Iran into this one as well, guys. I'm going to bring Iran into this. So before we get onto this, guys, I want everybody to know right now, as we speak, the situation in Brussels is developing. And that situation in Brussels, the outcome, we're on a knife edge right now, guys. We're riding a bicycle with like ball tires on that knife edge. And this could lead to this could lead to sleeper cells being activated. Now, as I understand it, then the final steps of this negotiation, how to release or when to release this 210 billion. That's with a B. So that's like 210,000 millions, if that makes sense to anyone. It's a phenomenal amount of money. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me start with my opening. I'm going to start, excuse me. Yeah, I've actually got that as a headline, Lisa Jane. I've not read it yet, but I'll jump onto that in a second. So, look, guys, let me just say, sleeper cells could be activated. Actually, that's what I should have said. Sleeper cells could be activated within the next 24 hours. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's going to bring us on to Friday. Remember what I said about Friday? Can you guys remember? I did a video saying warning about Friday. We've got a lot of crescendos right now, a lot of data points pointing towards Friday, i.e. tomorrow. Look, guys, let me jump onto this, guys, okay? Let me jump onto this. So I just want to give some context. So first of all, as of, what are we on today? I can't remember what date it is. Well, tomorrow's the 19th, today's the 18th. So as of today, the 18th of, as of today, ladies and gentlemen, I'll try and do it. Let me do it in a newsreader voice. I'm sure all newsreaders are drunk. Ladies and gentlemen, as of today, December the 18th of December 2025, European Union leaders are convening in Brussels for a critical summit focused on providing financial support to Ukraine amid its ongoing war with Russia. The key agenda item is unlocking profits from approximately 210 billion euros in frozen Russian central bank assets immobilized in the European Union since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that without this funding, potentially 45 to 50 billion euros in loans for the year 26-27, Ukraine could face severe shortfalls, including reduced drone production and military capabilities. I want to give some further context on this as well, guys, okay? So those of you guys who know, and look, guys, I get it. Look, some of you people are questions. There's, oh, but Sean, you support Ukraine, but you're critical of them. Yeah, I'm being honest. You know, I'm being honest. I don't have an agenda. I'll give you guys as much information as I see it, and I won't flim-flammer. Maybe I will flim-flammer now and then. So Zelensky's asking for, he says they need, 45 to 50 billion euros. It's a phenomenal amount of money, guys. It's a phenomenal amount of money. When you consider the corruption scandal that's circling Zelensky, where he's being caught red-handed with his fingers in the pot. I'm just struggling, guys. I'm struggling right now. I don't know. Honestly, I'm like, right. Okay, so people in the United Kingdom are struggling, can't put food on their tables. And I get it. I get it. This is Russian money, right? This is Russian money. But ultimately, we're going to have British boots on the ground. This seems like an easy win, right? But when we've got British families, people who have don't even care about this, and whether you care about this or not, it doesn't really matter for the purpose of this explanation. But we have got a lot of people struggling in the United Kingdom, and this leaves a very peculiar taste in my mouth when I think that 10 to 15% of the money that goes to Ukraine, at least 10 to 15% at least, goes in someone's back pocket. So now you're starting to understand the numbers, right? So this proposal involves using windfall profits from these assets, estimated at 3 to 5 billion annually, as collateral for the loans, rather than outright confiscation, to avoid legal challenges and escalating risks. So, however, the consensus is very elusive. So I'm giving you guys this analysis right now. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I don't know 100% how the European Union, what they're going to do with that 210 billion. But one of the aspects would be the European Union gives Zelensky a loan of 50 billion. They say, right, here, Zelensky, there's 50B. There's 50B, you know. Go and give your mates 15%. You know, go and give your mates 15%, and then you know, buy some shit with the rest. And that loan will be paid back by these Russian assets. It's bullshit, guys. As far as I'm concerned, this is my opinion, speculation, analysis. I think it's bullshit. Once you start opening this can, there's no going back. There really is no going back for it, guys, okay? Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban opposes the plan, calling it a red line. And I think it's, look, guys, as someone who supports Ukraine and the Ukrainians and has friends who I consider family out there, I do think this is a step too far. And I've been quite clear on that, guys. I do. I think this is a step too far. Well, Belgium's approval is crucial for the indefinite freezing of the assets. Russia has condemned the move as theft. I don't want to be siding with the Russians, but I can't think of a better word than theft. And the Russians have threatened retaliation. And I will come on to that in a minute, guys, when I start talking about sleeper cells. So if approved, this would mark a significant escalation in Western economic pressure on Russia, building on prior G7 agreements to use asset profits for Ukraine's reconstruction and defense. And by defense, they mean attack. If you guys were on the live stream with me earlier, I was talking about... If you guys were on the live stream earlier, I was talking about one of my section commanders when I was in the military, and he said to me three things. He said to me a lot of things, actually. One of the things he said to me had three prongs, like a Ukrainian trident. He had three prongs. First, you never mess about with people's money. Never. You know, and maybe I'm biased because of this, because this was my first introduction into man management. This was my first introduction into, like, you know, the management arena. Here, everybody, you never mess about with people's pay. You never mess about with people's scoff, their food. And you never mess about with people's leave, as in their time off. So you never mess about with people's pay, you never mess about with people's food, and you never mess about with people's time off. That's it. And I've lived by those rules, guys. Honestly, like, I still stand by them. If people work for me right now, I will always pay them on time, and all due payment will be given. I actually pay quite well. If we're overseas and I'm sponsoring, I'll never skimp on what you want to eat. I'll never say that you have to pay for your own dinner. If you're working with Raven, I got you. Literally, I got everything. And I'll never mess about. If you're on leave, if your clock is off, I will never bother you. All right? And that's from my earliest introduction into man management, right? So when I see the European Union going against one of those fundamental rules, I have to question it, guys. I have to question it, and I have to say that for me, I feel I'm agreeing with, fuck me, I can't even believe it. I'm not agreeing with Putin. I'm not agreeing with Putin, although I do believe that this is theft. And I agree with Viktor Orban. This is a step too far. Now, I do believe that this is there's the potential for this to lead to sleeper cells being activated here in the United Kingdom, all across Europe. Here's how. So, in fact, before I give that, let me give you guys some context between, you'll see where I'm going with this, guys, okay? Because you've got to understand, everything's connected. Literally, the migrant crisis, the war in Ukraine, House Resolution 559 in the United States, it's all connected. It's all a big plan. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, guys. We'll soon find out. We will soon find out. So I just want to give you guys some context on Russia and Iran. So as of what we're on today, 18th of November, not November, 18th of what we're on, December, 18th of Jesus Christ. 7 days. We've got 7 days. We have got 7 days, ladies and gentlemen, and it's coming. So Russia and Iran have formed, one of the closest partnerships. I would say the closest part. I don't think there's another one. So Russia and Iran have formed, I would say, the closest, maybe Russia and China. It doesn't matter. Let's just say one of the closest. Russia and Iran have formed one of the closest. I could argue it's closer than Russia-China, but whatever, because they're part of this gang. They're part of this team anyway. So the Russians and the Iranians have formed a very close, tight-knit partnership. And this is being driven by mutual opposition to the United States and European Union influence, shared sanction evasion, and military synergies, amid Russia's war in Ukraine and Iran's regional conflicts. In January 2025, the two nations signed a 20-year treaty on, it was called a strategic partnership, covering defense, energy, and in this context, we're talking about nuclear energy. And if you talk about nuclear energy, that is synonymous with nuclear weapons. I'll come on to that on another live stream. Trade and technology. Now, this is a new phase in, and this was signed this year. This is a new phase in Russia-Iran synergies, I guess. Military cooperation between Iran and Russia is absolutely critical, guys, okay? Iran has supplied Russia with, I don't even know, thousands. Probably not, yes, it's going to be thousands. Maybe even over 100,000. I don't know, at least thousands. It's probably not millions, but a lot. Thousands, high thousands of Shahed drones and short-range ballistic missiles. And these are obviously for use in Ukraine. While Russia provides Iran with advanced air defense systems, i.e. I think they've given them the S-400. And I think I'm right in saying that the S-400 is also a anti-satellite missile. So I'm pretty, I think it's the S-400. It's definitely the S-500. I think look, guys, fact check me on this. I may be slightly off on this. Definitely the S-500. I'm pretty sure it's the S-400 as well that has anti-satellite capability, so they can fire a rocket from their air defense missiles, and that can take out satellites. Yeah, GPS satellites. Yeah. You're cooked when GPS has gone. The Russians have also been supplying fighter jets, Su-35s, and industrial goods to sustain the Iranians in a wartime economy. Recent developments include a 3-year roadmap signed, I think it was this month actually, and Iran's participation in the first Shanghai Cooperation Organization military exercise involving Russia, China, and Iran. So you guys can see now this new alliance forming. Like a phoenix from the flames, like a phoenix from the ashes, this new alliance is forming. This new threat in the Far East is forming. And ultimately, we're going to have to go toe to toe. Now, this alliance extends to proxy support. Russia backs Iranian militias in Syria and Yemen, while Iran helps Russia circumventing sanctions. Now, post-US strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities, excuse me, if I will come on to that on a different live, that's kind of going down a different road. Russia has also deepened its deterrence plans with Iran, including potential nuclear technology transfers, viewing the partnership as a counterweight to NATO and European Union actions in Ukraine. So now we've got a few things happening, and these are real. Guys, tell me I'm wrong. Put it in the chat. If you think what I'm saying is wrong, call me out. I welcome it. I don't just welcome it. I encourage it. If you're in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, you think what I'm saying is wrong, please call me out, okay? Please call me out and tell me why I'm wrong. So now we've got this system in the world right now as I'm speaking. I will refresh the live updates in a second. So right now we have a situation where here in the United Kingdom, across Europe, we have untold numbers of, how do I put this politely? We have a lot of migrants in the United Kingdom. We have a lot of migrants all over Europe. Even if just 1% of them are extremists, that's a lot of people, guys, okay? Now, so we have a situation right now where the European Union may or may not, in the next couple of hours, we are literally on that knife edge right now, guys, okay? The European Union may or may not seize 210 billion euros from Russian seized assets and give them to Ukraine. That may happen. Likelihood, I've just spoken about that. But, it's certainly not off the cards. Now, if that happens, remember, Russia is massively, I've just spoke about it, Russia is massively allied with Iran. So do you think it would be possible? Maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Do you think it's possible for the Russians to phone up Ayatollah, what's his name, Kamazi or whatever his name is? Hello, Ayatollah. Yes, Vladimir. He doesn't speak Russian, does he? Hang on. Yes, Vladimir. How are you? I'm just doing Russian, aren't I? Hang on. Hang on. I need to do. Let me speak Arabic for a second. Somebody give me some Arabic. I've been doing Russian accents all day. I'm trying to think of an Arabic accent. I can't do an Arabic accent. I've got to do this. Hang on. Salam alaikum, Habibi. Yes, of course. Vladimir. How are you? Okay, I can't do them, guys. I can't do two accents that quickly. Look, guys, if anybody can do the Russian accent and the Arabic accent like that, it's very difficult. Anyway, basically what I'm getting at here is, do you think that Vladimir Putin could phone up his mates in Iran and say, unleash your sleeper cells, it's about time we come together, China, Iran, led by Russia, and have this war on the West? Now, look, guys, this is really happening. Like right now, as I speak, we have got people in Brussels. They're talking about this. They're talking about the release of 210 billion euros of seized Russian assets. And the three things, guys, I like, this is like being a staple of my, this has been a staple of mine. You never fuck about with people's money. Never. You never do it. I say I'm going to pay you, I will pay you. That's it. Doesn't matter what happens, I will pay you. You never fuck about with people's food. Never. You never make them pay for their own food. You don't stop them having food. You don't give them, you don't do it. You don't tell people that you don't do it, all right? And you don't fuck about with people's time off either. If somebody's off the clock, they're off the clock. You don't bother them. You deal with the problems yourself because they're off the clock. Man management 101, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So as far as I'm concerned, fucking about with people's money is just a no-go. You don't do it. You don't do that. You don't mess about with people's money. So, what are the likelihoods? What are the likelihoods of sleeper cells being activated? So this is what I'm talking about now, guys. You know, worst case scenario right now. Next couple of minutes. This is the worst case scenario, guys. Okay, let me caveat that. This has not happened if you're just joining. And if you are just joining, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification down there because I don't mess about with what's happening today. I tell you what's happening in the future. We talk about future prospects. We talk about future conflicts, and we talk about all sorts of crazy stuff. I'm not going to lie, guys. Sometimes we talk about aliens. But look, guys, on this channel, the stuff that's happening now is old news because we've already spoken about that last month or the month before. We war game out what's happening in the next couple of months. So, worst case scenario, and I will jump onto this in a second and give you like a live update because I can see it. In fact, I say update. Give me a second. So we have updated. So the live updates with regards to this money have updated, guys. So let me just quickly run through this, and then I'll jump onto the live update. So worst case scenario right now, next couple of minutes, it's all over the mainstream media. The European Union have come to a consensus, and we are going to confiscate all Russian money in Europe and give it to the Ukrainians. Yeah, that's worst case scenario, all right? And then Vladimir Putin phones up the Iranians and he says, hello, mate. He's like, yes, mate, what's up? Oh, it's a bit late here. What's up? He's like, no, mate, I need to call you. He's like, okay, mate, what's up? Let me get my dressing gown on. So the Ayatollah gets his dressing gown on and he's like, oh. He phones one of his servants and he's like, get me some chai. So he sat there. If any of you guys have ever been to the Middle East, you get like tea. It's like black tea and you get it in like a little cup like this. And there's a shit ton of sugar in it. And they stir it. And anyway, that's not relevant. So the Ayatollah sat there with his chai and he's stirring it and he's maybe got a biscuit or something. And Vladimir Putin's on the other end. And Vladimir Putin is furious right now. He is absolutely furious. He's got a bottle of vodka. He's got all his oligarchs and his oligarchs are pissed at Putin. Because let's be under no illusion, ladies and gentlemen, right? If you had €1 billion, let's just, I don't know, whoever the last person on the chat was, if you had €1 billion and it was in a country and they'd frozen it, you wouldn't want to rock that boat, would you? So you'd be saying to Vladimir Putin, you'd be saying, whoa, Vova, mate, just fucking calm down with this war, mate. I mean, I've got mate, listen, I've got €1 billion out there. Literally, mate, I need that billion back at least. It's a lot of money. But you know when that money gets taken and it's gone, guess what? Those same oligarchs who've been telling Vladimir Putin to calm down and like leave things alone, they're going up to him and saying, Vladimir, I don't care what you do, mate. Get me my fucking money back. I don't care how many people. I want my money back. And that's what they're all saying to him, you know. So worst case scenario is the European Union give this money to Ukraine. The Russian oligarchs tell Vladimir Putin that they want their money back. Vladimir Putin phones the Ayatollah up of Iran or whatever his name is, and he says, hey, mate, you know that favor? You know all that nuclear shit I give you? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. Can you just activate some of those sleeper cells in Brussels, in Dusseldorf, in Munich, in London, in Manchester, in Birmingham? Can you activate those sleeper cells and just start causing carnage? Yeah, because we're coming and we're going to take this shit back. And remember, what have I been saying, guys? Like, for the last, like, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months, I've been talking about this scenario that we're heading towards where we're going to have land pirates. So now it all makes sense. It actually makes more sense now. So now, it's actually better. It's actually easier. So before, I've said to you guys, I've said, look, we are heading to a situation in the world right now where the Russians are going to use conscripts as land pirates. And they're just going to say to them, right, lads, push into Estonia, Latvia, wherever, Finland. Whatever you take, that's yours. You own it, but it's part of Russia, right? So that gives them the incentive to take seas and hold ground because they want it, yeah? So now, imagine this. This is better for the Russians. The Russians say to Putin says to the oligarchs, he says, right, oligarchs, there's a shitload of conscripts there. Literally, go and take back your shit from Europe. What? Yeah, just go and, like, pillage your way through Europe. Whatever that chunk of Europe you take, that's yours, and I'm repaying you with that. Tell me that's not on the cards, guys. Tell me that's not on the cards. So, ladies and gentlemen, sleeper cells could be activated in the next 24 hours. We are on an absolute knife edge right now, and in the final steps of this negotiation with the European Union, deliberating whether to seize 210 billion of seized Russian assets. I'm going to jump onto this now, guys. Let me finish off for a second. So, the activation of sleeper cells, who would be dormant operatives or networks embedded in Western countries for sabotage, cyber attacks, terrorism. It wouldn't really be terrorism, but we're going to call it terrorism for the purpose of this explanation. Remains a high, as far as I'm concerned, this is a high risk, and that risk portfolio will raise if the European Union give that money to the Ukrainians. So we've got to understand, and you can't dismiss, guys. Nobody, like, look, guys, I'm putting these things together, right? I'm joining these dots. So you can't dismiss the Russia-Iran ties. You know, in this scenario, it would likely involve Iranian proxies, i.e., Islamists, Muslims, you know, working on behalf of Iran under some sort of ideological campaign. You know, this could be Hezbollah, it could be the it could be the IRGC. Doesn't really matter. So, first of all, before I go on, I'm going to ask a question to you guys. Can you answer this in the chat? Do you think there's anybody come to the United Kingdom in the last 5 years who we don't know who they are? You know, I don't know. For example, maybe like, let me think of a wild example. I can't think of a wild example, actually. Maybe I'm wrong. No, here's a wild example. For example, if there was an asylum seeker who fled his country and lost his passport. And he just turned up to the United Kingdom and he didn't have a passport. And nobody knew who he was. Do you think that's happened in the United? I don't know. Maybe I genuinely don't know, guys. I don't want to get a knock at the door. So I don't know if that's happened or not. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. If it has, then that number would be indicative of the amount of potential foreign fighters, i.e. sleeper cells, that we already have here in the West. It would. I don't think there's any denying that. I don't, because we don't know who these people are. So this would be, Islamists, rather than direct Russian aggression. You're never going to be able to prove that. Iran has a history of asymmetric retaliation against the West and their allies. There is historical context here. There were attempted plots in 2011 to assassinate the Saudi ambassador in the United States. Excuse me. Look, guys, let's just be real. Let's be real. Today, there were more arrests in Bondi Beach. More arrests in Bondi Beach today. Hang on. Sorry, guys, give me a second. So today, obviously, first of all, we've got the Bondi Beach shooting. Those people pledged allegiance to Islamic State. I'm not making that up. That's from New South Wales Police. Today, I think there were like 6 people arrested by, I think it was by Australian Special Forces. They ran the car off the road. Pretty aggressive move. Again, there have been 5 people arrested in Germany on suspicion of attempting a vehicle ramming at a Christmas market in Germany. There's been somebody arrested in Poland. There's been other people arrested in Germany. All over the West, guys. People have been arrested. Do you think it's over? Do you think we've caught everyone? I would say not. Anyway, let me continue. In 2025, US intelligence warned of Iranian sleeper cells and the influx and the influence in fact, look, guys, Donald Trump right now is calling it right out. He's calling it out. He's saying the West is over. They need to really be careful. They're going to get in World War III. They're going to get in World War III. We're going to have to bail them out. So these threats are real. The activation of sleeper cells, as far as I'm concerned, is real. If this money, there's updates I'm going to read in a second. If this money, is confiscated from, if the assets released is framed as, confiscation or whatever, and those oligarchs don't get their, if those oligarchs change and flip on a quarter, they are going to be putting a lot of pressure on Putin to invade Europe. And I think the first step would be to activate sleeper cells. It makes sense. Why wouldn't you activate those sleeper cells if you could? You absolutely would. You absolutely would, guys, okay? Right, let me jump over now because there's just been some updates in the last 20-odd minutes. Give me a second. And then I'll come into the chat, guys, okay? I'll come into the chat. So the last update was... Okay, so Russia's central bank says it will sue European banks over frozen asset loan. Russia's central bank said on Thursday that it will sue European banks in a Russian court over attempts to use frozen Russian assets to finance Ukraine. Under international law, sovereign assets cannot be confiscated. And look, guys, I'm all for the Ukrainians. I think we should support the Ukrainians. I think Russia taking Ukraine would be a bad thing for everyone. I also stand by my morals. Money, food, and leave. You never mess about with them. Under international law, and I'm reading this from The Independent, guys. This was like 32 minutes ago. Under international law, sovereign assets cannot be confiscated. So the European Commission has put forward a plan to allow the EU government to use up to 165 billion euros, most of the 210 billion euros worth of Russian sovereign assets currently frozen in Europe without confiscating them. It's theft. As far as I'm concerned, guys, it's theft. So, and I know you guys are sat there right now and you're thinking, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm not a Russian oligarch. I'm not a Russian oligarch. I've not got billions or millions in frozen, frozen assets. What happens when the threshold comes down? What happens when they say, okay, we're now going to confiscate anybody's, any money that you've got in a bank account, or, let's just say a war breaks out. Let's just say, totally wild, guys, totally wild again. Let's just say there's a war and Britain is involved in that war and Britain needs to finance that war. And what they say is, they say, right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we need to finance this war. So what we're going to do is everybody, oh, what's happening here? Everybody, hang on, give me a second, guys. So let's just say, let's go wild conspiracy, right? And say there's a war breaks out and the British government say they use this legislation and they say, well, we're going to freeze, we're going to take assets off Russians that live in the United Kingdom. And they say, oh, God, right. Oh, God, yeah. If you're Russian now, all your money is gone. Right, okay, gone to the government. Okay. Once that's opened, they say, all right, yeah. Now we're gonna anybody that's got £1 billion, we're gonna freeze that as war bonds. All right, that happened in the Second World War. Okay, right. Well, I don't have £1 billion. That's fine. Okay, everybody that's got £1 million. Oh God, right. Oh well, I don't have £1 million, so I'm fine. Right. Anybody that's got 100 grand. What? Eh? Oh Jesus Christ, that's getting a bit close. Okay, right. Well, I don't have 100 grand in my bank account, so that's not being seized. I'm okay. Anybody that's got 50 grand, and it will just keep coming down. It's a slippery slope, ladies and gentlemen. I do not want to be on that slippery slope. It's not the first time I've said it. I don't want to be on a slippery slope. I don't. Right. Let me jump over, guys, and get some messages off the chat. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. So we are talking about sleeper cell activation in the United Kingdom, all over the West. We are on a literal knife edge right now. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the negotiations in the European Union, negotiations in the European Union where the Brussels are basically saying we want to confiscate 210 billion we want to confiscate 210 billion from frozen Russian money in Europe and give it to the Ukrainians. And I'm saying that this could lead that knife edge that, because honestly, guys, at the moment, I think it's 50-50. I don't think it should happen. That's just me. If you guys think that we should start stealing money, that's fine. But once you start stealing money, yeah, fuck it. We're stealing everybody's money. Why not? Well, you got some money, yeah? Yeah, well, I'll take that as well. What about you? You got some money? Well, I haven't got any money, but I've got these beans. Yeah, we'll have your beans. I'll sell them. What did you get from them? I don't know. I just took them. once you start stealing money, guys, it's a slippery slope. It is. It's a slippery slope. So I do believe this could lead to, with the what's the word I'm looking for? The relationship between Russia and Iran, it wouldn't be difficult for the Russians to tell the Iranians to activate their sleeper cells. You know, and I'm talking about the hundreds and thousands of undocumented young men that we have in this country right now. A lot of these young men come from Muslim countries who don't really care about the West, I would say anyway. They don't really care about the West. We've got all the liberals. We've got all the liberals cheering them on. We've got these liberals cheering them on. It's fucking unbelievable. It's unbelievable, guys. Absolutely unbelievable. Right, anyway, let me jump down, guys. Eyeball Paul is saying it will lead to countries pulling their assets out of the UK, EU. This has already started. If you guys, I did a live stream a while, like maybe last month or something. It was a while ago, and the United Kingdom has more millionaires leaving than any other country. We have double the amount of millionaires leaving the United Kingdom than the next on the top or the bottom of that chart, whichever way it is, and the next loser or winner is China. So China have half the amount of millionaires leaving them every year than we do. We have double the amount, and we're at the bottom of that run, guys. We're at the bottom of that run. We have a lot of rich people leaving the United Kingdom already. Donna is saying follow on. Right, where's the first one? Oh, Donna's saying civil. Okay, so maybe this is connected. Give me a second, guys. Guys, give me a second. Let me jump on. Let me open this. Sorry, guys. I'm just jumping on X. I'm trying to get this. All right. Okay. So this is a farmers' protest. Okay. Right. Let me share this with you. So there's a farmers' protest right now in Brussels. I don't think it's connected to this money, but I will share this. Christmas farmers, Christmas tractors. Listen, guys, I love tractors. I don't. I'm lying. I'm totally lying, guys. I don't love tractors. I like off-road vehicles, and I guess a tractor is the ultimate off-road vehicle, right? I don't love tractors. I like off-road vehicles. I'm not going to say I love them, but do you know what? If I loved tractors, the one thing I would love more than tractors is a Christmas tractor. Fantastic. Okay, guys, if you're joining right now and you don't know what I'm sharing, I don't either. But there is a protest going on right now in Brussels. I'm just trying to give you guys the latest update. Right. Sorry, guys. Let me try and find you guys some of the latest information. 500 tractors, 10,000 farmers march through Brussels. We're supposed to hate and fear the. Oh God. All right, here we are. Okay, right. Let me share this. This is a bit more lively. This is a bit more lively. So there, as Donna's saying here, guys. Okay, as Donna's saying, there's a lot of hostilities right now in and around Brussels. Let's go back to the three things, okay? You never mess about with people's food, all right? By de facto, you mess about with farmers, you're messing about with people's food. Like, those three things, like, why can't everybody understand those? Literally, I had this drilled into me at a very young age, like 17 years old, maybe. You never mess about with those three things. Leroy is saying, give the money to Africa. I think we should all give the money to Africa, guys. I think we should have an Africa task. Isn't that called reparations? I think it's called reparations. Right, guys, the comments are going crazy tonight. Sean, you have permanently muted because I can see your lives and YouTube on my other account, but just can't type. I don't know. Googling as Sean, you have me permanently muted because I can see your lives and YouTube on my other account, but just can't type. Hang on a minute. How? If you can't type, how are you saying you can type? I don't know where that goes. Will Raz is saying, reminds me of Scooby-Doo. No wonder they want war. It wasn't for those pesky white Europeans. Just do as you're damn told. We would be able to rule the world. Donna's jumping back up and she's saying, show an update on Destiny's comment this morning, South Shields. Oh, God. Right, okay. Where is Destiny on here now? Okay, so earlier on this morning on the live stream, guys, we said there was a school in South Shields that had gone into lockdown. Let me try and is there anything on the mainstream? All right, okay, I've got it here. I think right, okay, 6 hours ago. Yeah, this is definitely it, right? Right, I'll share this with you guys now. This is the first time I've seen it, so I don't know what it is. Okay, look, guys. Earlier on this morning, they were talking about a school has gone into lockdown. Donna is saying that a child has sadly, and it's tragic. There's no good time for a child to. There's no good time for a child to pass. None. There really isn't. So there's no good time for a child to pass. This time, just before Christmas, I think it makes it a little bit worse. Right, I'm gonna let me share this with you guys real quick. It's the first time I've seen it. I don't know what this is gonna entail. At a northeast. Sorry, guys. I'll stop sharing this. I'll just read this because I don't want the ads to get up because I think I'll get into trouble. The Great North Ambulance Service was also scrambled to the school. 4 ambulance crews attended the scene alongside a police van. The secondary school on Temple Park Road initially reported a medical emergency on site. The school has now confirmed that a student has sadly died. Head teacher Catherine Lennox said, as you may already be aware, sorry, guys, I'm doing this in real time. Oh, yeah, they're not saying, okay, they're literally saying nothing. All they're saying it was a medical emergency. So I don't know what that means, guys. If people have got any inside information on that, if you can tell me where I can find more information, let me know, guys, okay? All we know is it was a medical emergency. I would speculate that anyone that dies, it's a medical emergency. And Googleinos is saying China warns Trump's 11 billion arms sale to Taiwan will bring fire to the US. So this is going to go down around about 2027. So we've still got a while for the China-Taiwan thing to kick off. GB News, global resurgence of Christians being discussed with Rees-Mogg and journalist Rupert Shaw. Honestly, guys, I think it's absolutely beautiful. I do. This whole Christian nationalist movement that we have in the United Kingdom right now and across Europe, it's a response. It's a beautiful response, I think, to if you look at, I did a video a while back, and I showed. So what was his name? The guy. What's his name? Tommy Robinson. Yeah, the Lennox Baxley or whatever his name is. He did like a He did a Christmas carol service in London like a couple of days ago, whenever it was. And the Church of England, I think it was, came out criticizing it, saying, "Oh, there's dangers of Christian nationalism." I'm like, really? And then they made this video, like the Church of England. I think it was the Church of England. They made this video, and it looked like, honestly, the people on this video, you had these, like, I can only assume they were like gay and trans vicars, saying Christianity's for everyone. Kind of not. Really isn't. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure that in Deuteronomy, it says that a man shouldn't lie with another man. Like, I'm pretty sure that in Deuteronomy, it says a man should not lie with another man or an animal like he lies with a woman. I'm pretty sure it's pretty definitive. It's pretty definitive that Christianity is not for everyone, which is fine, which is fine. I'm not being disrespectful to anyone. I'm just saying that if you want to go by a book and say that everything in that book is the gospel and you believe that is the word of God and you are going to abide by that book, apart from these verses and those verses and that verse there, and I'm going to sometimes abide by that verse, you're kind of not being a Christian, right? It's like me saying, I want to play poker, but when the river card comes out, I want an extra card. Because that's how I roll. And you're like, well, that's not poker. And you're like, yeah, but that's my poker. And you're like, yeah, but literally, we're all playing poker. We're all playing by the same rules. You can't come in, mate, and ask for another card just for you. That's like, no, we're not doing that. It's not the same game, right? So anyway, so I shared this video of, there was these people, and it was like the Church of England, and it had all these different cultures and all these different walks of life. It was like the cast of Big Brother. It was like the cast of Big Brother. It was embarrassing. But the rise of Christian nationalism, for me, is bringing strength back. And when you bring strength back to something, of course people are going to oppose it. Of course weak people are going to oppose strength. It's all weak people can do. They can oppose, and they can sign their little documents, and we want a law to protect us because you're weak. Strong people don't need little like people that are an idea that strong doesn't need protecting. Something that has strength will grow. It doesn't need protecting. You know, that's what I find quite funny. Sean, that's Old Testament. Jesus brought the New Testament. We are all guilty of sin. I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty sure I'm not guilty of sin. I'm pretty sure I may be the perfect man. I may be I don't think I'm not going to claim that. I'm not going to claim. No, I'm definitely not going to claim that. I shouldn't claim that. James Brooke is saying, Sean, that's the Old Testament. Yeah, so apparently, right? I don't know what you guys think, but like the Old Testament in the Bible, we're just supposed to forget it. I kind of prefer the Old Testament, if I'm being honest. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping off track. We're jumping off track. Right, let me come back. Let me bring everything back, guys. Let me bring everything back, okay? So right now, over in Brussels, we have a situation developing. And if you don't like, comment, subscribe, and share, this situation could fall off the knife edge. No, seriously, guys, are you watching? Like, are you watching right now and you've not hit that subscribe button down below? Are you that guy? Is that you? Are you that guy who's watching right now? You've not hit the subscribe button? Or are you that other guy that skips my ads? Come on, guys. Who's skipping my ads? Be honest. Right, let me jump. Sorry, guys. So we have a situation right now developing in the European Union, in Brussels. We're on a knife edge and we are sailing on that knife edge. At some point, we're either going to go left and we're not going to give the Russians their money. Oh, sorry. We're either going to go left and we're not going to give the Ukrainians the Russian money, or we're going to go right and we're going to give the Ukrainians the Russian money. One of those two options will happen in the next maybe few hours or whatever. Certainly, I think this has to happen before Saturday. But I think it has to finish tomorrow, by end of play tomorrow. Some decision has to be made. So let's go worst case scenario. Now, worst case scenario, let's just keep in the back burner. Let's keep on the back burner the military ties between Russia, China, and Iran. Big bros, they got each other's backs, which is fine. That's how big players work. What I'm saying is, if this money, 210 billion, is confiscated from the Russians and given to the Ukrainians, or however they want to frame it, I don't know how they're going to frame it. Obviously, I'm not privy to these meetings. What I'm saying is, you're making people are going to be making a cardinal error. You never mess about with people's money, food, or leave. What I think could happen is this could lead to an activation of sleeper cells over the West, the likes we have never seen. I'm talking about sabotage. I'm talking about asymmetric warfare. I'm talking about things getting like fires everywhere, trains being derailed, things going kaboom, people going stabby, people going rammy. All these sort of things happening as a massive uptick. Because when you destabilize, when a country's being destabilized, very hard to fight a war. Very hard to fight a war, guys, if you're in a destabilized country. Sorry, guys, give me a second. Yeah, very, very difficult to fight a war, guys, if you're in a destabilized country. And that is what I feel is coming to the United Kingdom very soon. You can't take these things as like if you're new to this channel, guys, okay, in the context here above, in the description, I've got World War III and World War IV. When I talk about they're both interlinked. When I talk about World War III, I talk about international conflict, soldiers in uniform, airplanes, tanks, bombs, green warfare. When I talk about World War IV, I'm talking about the masses of civil unrest that is coming, that is coming to the United Kingdom, that's coming to the West, that may even, hang on a minute. Sorry, guys, I'm just looking at the, that may even have started already. And you guys can see this yourselves, right? Local high streets, you don't really understand local high streets anymore. You walk down your local high street and it looks like, it looks like another country. You've got the situation now where we have literally the other day, like yesterday, we had Vladimir Putin come out and say that he will take back by force, if necessary, by military force, the historical Russian territories. You can't be more, people can't be more clear than what they're saying. It's unbelievable, Right, listen, guys, I am going to start to close this live stream down now. Like I said, the crux of this live stream is sleeper cells may be activated. I think we are on a knife edge right now with this money in Brussels, the money that may or may not be given to Ukrainians. I think, worst case scenario right now would be that they give the money to the Ukrainians, and then the Russians activate the sleeper cells across the West, and World War IV has already started. Anyway, look, guys, I am going to close this down now. You guys have been fantastic, good looking, beautiful, and amazing. Hang on a minute. Right, Spiral Scratchers. He's been right. What's Spiral Scratchers saying? I don't know what Spiral Scratchers are saying, but lies. I'm just going to leave that. I'm not going to delete Spiral Scratchers because I'm on a new no delete policy, guys. I'm on a new no delete policy, no block policy. Anyway, guys, look, I am going to close this down now. Keep an eye on this, because if that money goes to Ukraine, that is a step too far for me. I do think that could lead to sleeper cells being activated in the West, with the ties and the relationship between Russia and Iran, the Islamists that we potentially have in the United Kingdom already, all over the West, saturated by mass migration. Everything's about to go boom. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10. I bid you good evening, and I bid you farewell.